Hey everybody, this is Daniel. Welcome back. I hope you're taking care of yourself in these difficult times. Today's video is going to be a little different. Instead of one video where I talk about different topics, I'm just going to talk about one topic today. I want to kind of make this a shorter video, easier to digest, easier to talk about and share, and easier to give feedback on. So let's jump right into today's topic, which is, dear white folks, do the work. So this is a trend and an issue I'm seeing not only in my personal life, but in the public space when it comes to conversations about police brutality, white privilege, systemic racism, abolishing the police, defunding the police. This is an issue I'm seeing, and I want to address it right now. White folks, if you're not going to do the work of educating yourself, reflecting on this topic, and then having the difficult conversations with your friends, family, and coworkers and your fellow church members, if you're not going to do the work, don't talk. Don't lead conversations. Don't be the one that everybody's going to. Don't lead the meetings at work on this subject. Don't handle this as HR. You don't need to be anywhere near this if you're not going to do the work, because it is causing some real problems. It's wearing on people. It is causing damage as far as how people understand systemic racism and police brutality and white privilege. It's bad all the way around. If you're not going to do the work, you don't need to do the talking, especially you don't need to do the leading, especially. Whew, I cannot begin to really emphasize that. Now, if you're listening to me, you clearly understand that I'm not talking about white people who are doing the work, who are doing the reading, who are educating themselves, who are reading about police brutality. They're reading things like The New Jim Crow. They're reading Angela Davis. They're reading Freedom is a Constant Struggle. They're following activists. They're doing the work. They're reflecting on how they didn't see racism and white privilege before, but they see it now, and they're going to do better. They are having difficult conversations. I applaud you. Keep it up. If you have questions, you can reach out to me, because I'm here for people who are doing the work. But if you're not going to do the work, you just need to hush, because you are in the way and you're causing problems. And you might wonder, Daniel, like you're being harsh about this. Y'all, this is real. Let me give you an example of just how bad it gets when white people are in charge of talking about this and don't do the work. There was a recent talk at Passion City Church in Atlanta. It was led by Pastor Louis Giglio, the rapper Lecrae, and Dan Cathy of Chick-fil-A. And Reverend Bernice King was supposed to be there, and she fell ill, so she couldn't make it. But they didn't have a backup. They did not have another pastor in Atlanta who has civil rights experience to be there for the conversation. And so Louis Giglio, a white pastor, founder of the Passion Movement, he led the conversation. And it was terrible. It was bad. He talked about calling white privilege white blessings. Dan Cathy was shining Lecrae's shoes and giving him a hug as though that is going to offer reconciliation for racism and police brutality, when instead we're looking for substantive policies and legislation and transformation of how we think about law enforcement, policing, and public safety in America. It was just terrible, y'all, from start to finish. And there's a number of reasons why that talk was terrible, but it all starts with one thing. Louis Giglio should not have been leading that conversation at all, under any circumstances. You may say, well, Daniel, Bernice, the Reverend King dropped out. Should have postponed it or had someone else. Daniel, he's the pastor. Shouldn't he lead the conversation? No, not when you're not the most educated person there. Not when there's other people who are much smarter, much more informed, much more experienced. No, he should not have been leading it. And because he was leading it and he wasn't prepared for the moment, he did a terrible job. And he apologized. He really did. He tried to defend himself first on Twitter, then he apologized. But the damage is done. There are people going to hear incorrect, terrible ideas from that talk, and they're going to think, oh, like that's how I should see it. The damage is done. I'll include links so you can watch it for yourself. Okay. At the end of the day, all I'm asking you to do, white folks, is if you're going to talk about this to your friends or in public, like when I say to your friends, I mean to actually to all your friends. If you're going to talk about it, do the work. Okay? And if you're not going to do the work, then hush. Because if you think that you could still talk about this, talk about systemic racism, police brutality, white privilege, without doing the work, if you think that's fine, then what you're displaying is white privilege. Because you think it's okay to be an ignorant white person and still have the mic and still command the space. And that's a problem. Can't happen no more. It's got to stop here. And I'm not saying this to beat up on you. I'm saying this because I want you to do better, because I believe you could do better. And so please take these words to heart. If this isn't you, but you know someone who fits this criteria, share it so that they can see it too. The goal of this is so that we can all become more informed, we can all become more educated, and then we can all do more to build a better world for ourselves, our children, and our grandchildren. I'll see you next time. Take care of yourself in these difficult times.